So with Nvidia now the most valuable company in the entire world, what does that mean for our GPUs? Not the, AI GPUs or data center that they're selling really crazy amounts, but what about the regular GeForce GPUs like we're used to using in gaming PCs? Is the Nvidia train gonna forget about those type of people and products, the regular consumers, if they're making so much money with AI and data centers? Here's what I think. First, of course, there will be an RTX 50 series. Nvidia wants to remain dominant not only in the AI and data center market, but also in the consumer and that type of market as well, which they've had a pretty big lead. I mean, look at the 4090, pretty much destroys every other GPU that Nvidia has, AMD, Intel. It's very dominant. There have been a lot of rumors, of course, about what the 50 series will be, especially the 5090. You can bet that GPU is going to be not only the most capable gaming GPU, but it's probably going to do good as like a data center GPU as well. If there's so much demand, data centers will come in and take gaming GPUs. And now let's hear a word from our sponsor, VIP-CDKdeals.com, a Windows Pro CD key. Add to cart, you put in code CC20. This will also work on Windows 11. You want to go into your settings in Windows, change and adjust your CD key, click activate, and now let's go back to the video. It happened before with the 4090, it's happening now, and obviously with crypto mining that happened by a huge margin. So you can imagine the 5090 is always going to be the GPU that everybody wants, gamers, content creators, and the different data AI type of farms and things like that. So that means that it's going to be absolutely amazing with performance, but price is probably going to be high because Nvidia can price it high. If it has 512-bit memory bus, which would be like pretty insane, or even 384 like the current 4090 has, that's going to be more than enough to satiate those type of markets, likely not really as needed for gaming the way that we have it now. So that means that something like the 5080 and below, those may be the real gaming GPUs. The 5090, just like the 4090, kind of took on a role all by itself. It's not called a Titan GPU, but it kind of feels like it is, because you can see what big difference there is from a 4090 to even a 4080. There's a pretty big gap there, not only between the 16 to 24 gigabytes of VRAM, but overall performance, it's pretty sizable when you take a look at the frames per second that you're getting in the most games. So by all means, I think a 4090 kind of is a Titan class GPU. That's what the 90 literally is now. And the same thing will happen with the 5090. It's probably going to be priced at least what the 4090 was, if not a little more expensive. Nvidia has a million ways to justify it. It's going to have, much faster GDDR7 VRAM. It's going to have much faster performance. And obviously they know they have a market for that GPU that's not just gamers, it's everybody else. Now, when it comes down to everything else, they do have to remain price competitive because they're going to have 40 series GPUs to compete with 50 series. And of course, anything that AMD puts out, or even don't forget, just because a new GPU comes out, like let's say if there's a 5080 or 5070, it doesn't necessarily mean you need a brand new GPU from like AMD to compete. AMD could just sell you a 7900 XTX at a much cheaper price, and a lot of gamers will be happy. Or even Nvidia itself with like a 4080 Super, for example. If pricing goes down for that and the 5070 is close enough in performance with nothing new, then people may just buy a used 4080 and be done with it. So you don't necessarily need new GPUs, especially since we have a pretty wide selection right now. The only thing that I could see happening, maybe the 50 series. Now, we don't know if they may have specific technology in it that may be applied, with the software with certain features you may want. Let me give you an example. RTX 40 series has DLSS 3 with frame generation. Technically, older GPUs may be able to do it, but they don't have the performance capabilities to do it at the same level. So Nvidia didn't really support it on last generation GPUs or anything before the RTX 40 series. So what if RTX 50 series, especially with everything being AI, what if like DLSS 4, for example, only worked on hardware on an RTX 50 series? then you can get people to want to upgrade, especially if it proves to be like a pretty sizable difference in performance without really any loss in other factors like the image quality or anything like that. Combined with wanting to do path tracing or ray tracing, which are very demanding, then you could see more gamers looking at their current GPU and being outdated. But if it's just for rasterization, if there's nothing new introduced, then you can argue that a 4090 is going to be good for a very long time. The only thing that's going to outdate a 4090 is some type of new AI technology or something like that, which needs specific hardware that would only be in a new GPU. That's the only reason that you can see it going that way. And if you want to try the new hardware, it's much like you see Microsoft releasing their Copilot PCs, and it has stuff like that Snapdragon Elite X, which has NPUs, which are specific for AI type of workloads. And even a powerful Intel or AMD CPU, like a 7800X3D or a 14900K, they don't have that particular NPU to be able to do those type of workloads, not even an Nvidia GPU specifically, like for Copilot. So that means that if you wanted to use Copilot, this is just theoretical, I'm not saying if it's good or bad, you would need one of these new, laptops or Surface Pro that has that new NPU with the specific hardware. It's not about power, it's about having the specific hardware to do a specific AI task. So that's something that could happen with a future Nvidia GPU as well. Maybe it has some specific piece of hardware on board that can only do the certain whatever AI comes out, DLSS 4 or whatever Nvidia decides to do in the future. That could be a way to get people to upgrade. Aside from that rasterization performance, then we're going to have to see what the pricing will be on those GPUs. So while yes, Nvidia is really popular right now in being the most valuable company in the world, I think with GPUs and the consumer market, I don't think they've forgotten it, but they do have a little more power on their side to release exactly what they want at the price that they want and not rush it. So that may not necessarily be the best for the consumer at the end of the day, but I think we should still be able to get some fairly great products, and hopefully the prices stay fair, because if they go too high, people don't buy, and that puts a negative sentiment on Nvidia as a whole. And I think now they can look at the other direction as well. They have a little bit more financial resources than ever before to at least give us fairly priced GPUs, and they don't have to care if they sell as well or not, because the gaming market is so small compared to their data center market. Maybe they rather keep the prestige of having their gaming products be the best in that class as well, rather than just not sell any at all. So we'll see what happens. Very interesting to see during this next year. RTX 50 series gets announced and then maybe comes out sometime close to 2025. We'll see what happens. Let me know what you think down below. Remember to subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next video.